Hey guys, it's Jack Punkington. So, I shot this video like a while ago, but I decided to redo it just because I've had more time with the amp and I really want to use my Firebird for this. As you can see, I've repainted the pickguard. I have a lot more in store for this guitar in the next coming weeks, but for now, that's all I've changed. And I took this setup to my band practice last night, and it rocked. Like, this thing screams, especially with some pedals that I'm experimenting with. But today, we're just running straight into the amp. Anyway, this is the review of the Marshall dsl20 watt head. These came out this year, earlier this year, and they replaced the old DSL line, which had the 15 watt head and the 100 watt head, and then it also had the 5 watt combo, I believe. It had the 40 watt, had a 15 watt combo, a 40 watt combo, and a 100 watt head. But now there's like all sorts more variations between like 1 watt, 5 watt, and all that. But this is the 20 watt, and this goes between 20 and 10 watts. Has a backup, not backup, a headphone out in the back, which is my only issue with this amp, is that headphone out. And if I get this wrong, and if I'm doing something wrong, someone please let me know, because I'd love to try something different. It's an emulated out, and it's supposed to emulate a 112 it's like a 1936 112 cab. And when I'm recording with it, it actually sounds really good. But as a headphone out, the problem is the volumes pretty much get eliminated, and the gain is your volume control. And if you want to like rock out with some high gain at night at like 3 AM, you're gonna have to be blasting your ears off. So if I got that wrong, or if I'm doing something wrong, someone please let me know. But as far as I know, that's what I've ran into. Besides that, I love this thing. It's similar in layout to the dsl20 that I actually used to have, except it no longer has that deep switch. It's just the tone shift now. 3-band EQ. It has a presence and a resonance similar to a 6505 and other amps, along with its own separate reverb, each with their own master volume and master gain. And the thing just sounds awesome. I actually really like the way this guitar sounds on the classic gain, clean, crunch channel, whatever you want to call it. I've got the gain actually dialed pretty high up at about 2 o'clock, and the volume pretty low. I am on the 10 watt setting. This is how it sounds through the Firebird. It's kind of got that really cool push crunch sound. I love it, especially with these pickups. Turn the gain back. Turn the volume up. Got more of a cleaner tone, obviously. Turn the gain all the way down. And then vice versa. Volume down, gain all the way up. keep the gain on that at about 2 o'clock, just because it's still got that push crunch, but it's still a little more clear, it's less fuzzy. Now the other thing with this amp is it still has the tone shift. I usually keep mine in most of the time, but this is what it sounds like without. So it just takes out a lot of the mids. It's kind of harder to hear on the crunch channel, but once you get into that gainy channel, it's very more prevalent. So we'll take it off and go into the gain channel. And I'm going to lower the gain. Again, I usually keep that off, so at about 2 o'clock. We'll lower it, take it down to about 10 o'clock. Turn the volume up a little. You get that punchy Marshall sound that you know and love if you're a huge Marshall fan like me. Now let's put that tone shift in. You'll hear the difference. Back out. Back in. Now if we turn the gain up, back to about where I had it. Tone shift out. Put the tone shift back in. There, I was just going through and changing the settings a little bit, trying it out. Both the resonance and presence are very sensitive on this amp, and I love it. You can get some really different tones, and I just love it because I'm in my alternative rock punk band that does kind of thrash punk, but it sounds cool to me. I don't know. The reverb, at first when I started messing with it, and still worrying how to work out the amp, I thought it wasn't very clear, not really big and responsive, but the more and more I've worked on it, you gotta find that sweet spot, and especially with the volume, the more reverb. And this whole review I've been doing the amp in 10 watts. I will show you how it sounds in 20. So, no reverb at all. A little bit of reverb. Kind of wettens the sound a little bit. That's about where I like to keep it. That's a computerized reverb. It is not spring. Otherwise you would have just heard a spring rattle when I did that. All the way up. So you can really hear it resonate. Like I said, I like to keep it about 2 o'clock. Where you can still hear it, but it's not super loud. Go to the gain channel. Now what I'm going to do is swap it over to the 20 watt mode. Go over to the crunch channel. So it adds a lot more low end compared to the dsl20, and the gain doesn't get affected as much as it did with the dsl20. When you lowered the wattage with the dsl20, it had this effect on the gain, and it's because it was going through a different way of cutting the power that they do now. I'm not sure the exact science, but it would affect the gain severely. Now it is affected way less, but I still hear a little bit of a more fuzz when it's on the 10 watt setting opposed to the 20 watt setting. And this thing is loud. Like, it is perfect for gigging. I practiced with my band last night, and we actually had a new bass player auditioned because we're out of a bass player right now. And he was, you know, beforehand talking to me, telling him what he should bring and stuff. And I told him to bring whatever he felt comfortable with. So he brought in this big bass half stack and stuff. He's like, man, I don't know if your Marshall's going to keep up with me. And I was like, we'll see. And the entire time, like, every time we'd take a break or something, or just have, he's like, dude, I can't believe how well that competes with everything. You could hear over the drummer, over everything. It was awesome. These are so worth it. I got mine brand new from Sweetwater for 500 bucks, I believe. And I totally think they're worth it. I do maybe someday in the future want to get a dsl20 again and try to compare the two. I think that'd be really cool. And I'd also like to do is get a PV Valve King MH and compare the two, because I think that would be a really cool comparison video. But for now, This is my main amp. At some point I would like to get the dsl 1 watt that came out in the same range and test that out, use that as a headphone amp. But hope you guys like this video. Jack Punkington signing out. Peace, guys.